Exactly. Thank you very much, Leah. It is game day for our Calgary Flames. Our Flames returning home after 2 games versus Anaheim on their home ice, and it was tough to watch. So a lot of fans are looking for those glimmers of hope, Eric.
There are a few. They are slim glimmers of hope that I'd like to try and offer up to people, because people are down right now. They're terrified. The belief in this city, of course, is that they're done. I still think they'll win at least one game at home, either tonight or Friday. But I don't think anyone's thinking they can win this series. However, I'll throw these two things out at you. First of all, home ice. They beat the Ducks 2 out of 3 this year at the Dome. And in the third game, they were leading going into the third before they kind of imploded. So that's a slight glimmer of hope. And that sea of red is going to be crazy tonight.
Totally.
That could help them in a large degree. The other glimmer of hope, I go back to 2006. This is a stretch, I know.
Take us back.
The Carolina Hurricanes in round 2, they lost a game by 5 goals. Bounced back to win the series, and then won the Stanley Cup that year. I'm not saying the Calgary Flames are going to win the Stanley Cup.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I'm just trying to give people hope. If you go on Kijiji right now to try and buy tickets to tonight's game, people are almost giving them away. As opposed to round 1, when there was so much excitement, you could sell your tickets for 4 or 5 times face value. Now you're lucky if you get more than face value for your tickets. People are really, the air has gone out of the Flames balloon. But it's still fun, and it was an incredible ride. But just remember, people, this is
Wait a minute. Don't say was. We're still in the ride.
Okay, sure.
There are people out there that still believe. There are a lot of people out there that still believe it could happen. If it does, it only gets easier from here. If by some miracle.
Sure, that's another way to look at it. Yeah, I mean, the Ducks are the best team in the West, and by virtue, the best team in hockey. So yeah, if they could beat the Ducks, then they could beat anyone. There is that sense that this is a magical ride, like 04, where it's hard to believe that this wouldn't continue, because they bucked the odds all year long. They bucked the critics, and I really do believe they have earned the right for us to not write them off, because we've been doing that as journalists and some fans all year long. And you know, maybe enough is enough, and maybe people like me shouldn't be so down on them and saying that, you know, reality is setting in and they just are overmatched. The Ducks were built to win a Stanley Cup. They've had growing pains the last couple of years. The Calgary Flames, their goal this year was simple: make the playoffs.
Right.
Those are 2 radically different goals, and this has been an incredible ride. These players deserve a ton of credit, and people should be very proud of everything they've done this year. But at some point, reality sets in, and that's what I'm suggesting, that, you know, anyone who's watched those first 2 games could see. This is men amongst boys, and I hate to say it because they deserve a lot more credit than that, but it really is a tale of 2 different teams going in different. They're both going in the right direction, but the Flames are just 3 or 4 years behind.
Tough to question Bob Hartley. I mean, he's a likely candidate to win the Jack Adams. Made some interesting changes lineup-wise last game. If you're the coach tonight, do you go back to the guys that brung you to the dance, or would you?
Yeah, they certainly played better in
Should
game
David
2.
Wolf be on the top line, I guess is what I'm asking.
David Wolf on the top line is a bit ridiculous. Yeah, no, you got to put. I think you got to put Gaudreau back on that top line. That was an experiment that lasted only a period and a half. That was a bit of a desperation move to try and shake it up. Sam Bennett's definitely got to go in the lineup. I mean, there's some question as to whether or not he would, because it's his 10th game in the NHL, which means 1 year of his contract expires after this year, which means he's a free agent a little earlier. That is not a concern to management. They need to put the best 20 guys on the ice. He's one of the best 20. He's the only guy who scored a goal in this series. So he'll be in the game. And of course, the goaltender's got to be Carter Ramo. He was brilliant last game.
Amazing.
He gave him another glimmer of hope that they could hang in with these big boys for a lot longer than most people thought.
And we're
There are
almost
3
out of time.
glimmers.
But has Anderson been tested?
Anderson hasn't really been tested that much. And he's not the kind of goalie who makes spectacular saves anyway. He's the biggest goalie in the National Hockey League. Not just height-wise, he's not quite the tallest, but width-wise, size-wise, he's 235 pounds. He's a monster. He just basically parks himself in front of that net, and there's very little the Flames can do. But the Flames are shooting from the outside. They just can't seem to create any quality scoring chances. I'll try to be positive.
It all changes tonight.
Anything can happen in a 7-game series.
The fans will do what they can too, and that I think is another glimmer of hope for our Calgary Flames at home. Thanks very much, Eric. We'll be looking forward to seeing what happens tonight and leading into Friday as well.